What would you do if the person you forgave used your forgiveness to destroy you again? I gave her a second chance. I believed her when she said it was just a mistake. And then she came back pregnant. But the baby wasn't mine. It was my friend's. And that was only the beginning. If you've ever forgiven someone who broke you, then you already know. The second time hurts worse. The first time, you cry because of what they did. The second time, you cry because you knew better. My name's Derek. I'm 32. I work in logistics, have a small circle of friends, and had a woman I thought was my forever. Her name is Kayla. We dated for almost 4 years before I proposed. I thought I knew her. Every smile, every fear, every version of her heart. But the truth is, you only truly know someone when they know you won't leave. It started with a late-night phone call. She told me she was working late. Again, that wasn't new. She had just gotten promoted and was catching up most nights. I believed her, until I didn't. One night, she came home with her hair messy, her lipstick smudged, and no explanation. I asked if everything was okay. She snapped at me, said I was being paranoid, but my gut screamed something was off. 2 days later, I found a receipt from a hotel. A single night, 2 drinks, room service for 2. I didn't want to believe it, so I asked her directly. Her face went pale. She didn't deny it. She didn't even explain. She just said, it didn't mean anything. When Kayla said, it didn't mean anything, I didn't even get angry. I just sat there, stunned. That kind of betrayal doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. She cried, of course. She said she felt neglected, that she was confused, that it was a moment of weakness. But I couldn't even speak. I just kept staring at the receipt, thinking about every night I waited up for her. Every text I sent, every time I believed her lies. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch while she cried herself to sleep in the bedroom. The next morning, she made coffee and acted like nothing happened. Like my world hadn't just been shattered. I left without saying a word. I needed space. But more than that, I needed time to figure out if I could ever trust her again. I stayed. Not because I was weak, but because I remembered the version of her I fell in love with. The woman who danced barefoot in the kitchen. The one who stayed up with me all night when my dad was in the hospital. The one who once looked at me like I was everything. Kayla swore it was a one-time thing. That she never saw him again. That she was willing to do anything to earn my trust back. Therapy, honesty, no more secrets. She even deleted all her social media accounts just to show she was serious. So we tried. For 3 months we tried. Dates, long talks, check-ins. It wasn't easy. I didn't fully trust her, but I wanted to. And that's when things seemed to be getting better. She smiled more. I laughed again, and I thought, maybe second chances really do work. His name was Marcus. We'd been friends since college. He was at our engagement party, helped me move into our apartment, always told me how lucky I was to have Kayla. I never suspected anything. He was like a brother to me. After Kayla's first betrayal, Marcus became even more supportive, always checking in on me, inviting me out, offering advice. She made a mistake, he'd say. But you're stronger than this. You're doing the right thing, man. I believed him. He even helped Kayla get a part-time consulting gig when she left her previous job, said he knew someone who could help her get back on her feet. At the time, I thought it was generous. Now I realize it was the perfect setup. 6 months after I forgave her, Kayla started acting strange again. Moody, tired, emotional. I thought it was stress from her new job, or maybe just the weight of rebuilding our relationship. I didn't think twice about it, until I saw the pregnancy test in the bathroom trash. I froze. My heart stopped. We hadn't been trying for a baby. In fact, we hadn't even been intimate much. Something felt off, so I waited. I didn't say anything. I watched her, and then one day, she walked out of the shower in a towel, and I saw it. A slight bump. I confronted her that night. She didn't cry this time. She just sat there, silent, like she had been waiting for this moment. "I'm pregnant," she whispered, "but it's not yours." I stared at her for what felt like hours. My ears were ringing. My heart was pounding. I heard the words, but I couldn't understand how she could say them so calmly. I asked again, like maybe I'd heard wrong. "Who?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Kayla looked down. Marcus. That one name hit harder than the first betrayal. Marcus. The man who stood by me when I cried over her cheating. Marcus. The man I called brother. The man who came into my home, drank my beer, gave me advice, slept with my fiancée. I couldn't breathe. I walked out. I didn't even grab my keys. I just walked into the street like a ghost, trying to understand how I had let them both in, how I trusted them so blindly. The next morning, Marcus texted me. Heard you talk to Kayla. I guess everything's out now. No apology. No shame. Just that. Like he'd been waiting for me to find out. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I didn't trust myself to say anything without doing something I'd regret. He showed up at my place later. I didn't let him in. He stood at the door like nothing happened. She came to me, he said, hands in his pockets. We didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And now she's carrying my child. So you should probably stay out of it. I slammed the door in his face. That was the moment I knew there was no fixing this. Not with Kayla, not with Marcus, not with anyone who thought betrayal was a choice you could brush off and call accidental. Kayla came home with tears in her eyes. You don't understand, she said. We were going through so much. You barely touched me anymore. I was lonely. And Marcus, he was just there. That was her justification. She was lonely. So she slept with someone I trusted more than my own brother. That was the depth of her remorse. A list of excuses, instead of owning up to what she did. She said she didn't mean to fall for him, that it wasn't love, that it was comfort. She begged me not to leave her. She said she didn't even want to keep the baby unless I forgave her. That was when I realized she didn't want me. She just didn't want to be alone. I moved out 2 days later, not because I didn't love her, but because I finally loved myself more. I couldn't sleep in that bed anymore. I couldn't eat at the same table where they probably shared inside jokes while stabbing me in the back. My friends were shocked. My parents heartbroken. They had loved Kayla too. We all did. The worst part? No one even saw it coming. That's the danger of betrayal. It hides behind smiles, behind handshakes, behind people who say, I'd never hurt you, but they do. And when they do, it breaks something in you that never fully heals. I never responded to Kayla's messages. She texted, she called. She sent long paragraphs about how sorry she was, but I stayed silent, because silence, sometimes, is the only answer people like that deserve. Marcus didn't even bother after that. He got what he wanted, or thought he did, but they were two broken people, trying to build something from the ruins they caused. I didn't block Kayla. I wanted her to see me living, healing, rising. I wanted her to see what she lost. And soon, she would. Because this wasn't the end of my story. It was just the start of hers crashing down. 3 months passed. Kayla and Marcus made their relationship public. She posted a soft photo of her bump with the caption, "New beginnings, baby bottle sparkles," like she hadn't shattered lives to get there. The comments were full of congratulations. Only a few people knew the truth. Marcus looked proud in every photo, arms around her, hand on her stomach, like this was the plan all along. But Kayla didn't look happy. Her smile never reached her eyes. I wasn't stalking. Her account was public. I didn't follow her, but I saw what she wanted people to believe. And I also saw the cracks, the too perfect captions, the forced poses. I knew Kayla. I could read her eyes better than anyone, and those eyes were screaming. Life moved on. I hit the gym every day. I got promoted at work. I reconnected with old friends. For the first time in a long time, I felt light, like I could breathe again. And then one afternoon I saw her, in line at the grocery store. Kayla. She looked different, tired, pale, heavily pregnant. She saw me and froze. I nodded politely, turned, and walked away. She followed me outside. "Derek?" she called. I turned slowly. "You look good," she said quietly. "You don't," I answered. She flinched. "I miss you," she added, voice trembling. I didn't say anything. I just got in my car and left. Because some people deserve the weight of their choices, and she was finally feeling it. 2 weeks later, she texted again. A long message. She wrote that Marcus was controlling, angry, and dismissive, that the pregnancy was hard, that she didn't feel safe, that she missed what we had. She said I was the only man who truly loved her, that she was scared, that she'd made a mistake. I didn't reply, not because I didn't care, but because I finally knew her apologies only came when the consequences hit. Regret is not repentance, and pain isn't a pass for betrayal. She made her choice. Now she had to live it. I didn't plan to go, but my friend Sam, who still talked to Marcus, invited me to their baby shower. Said it might give me closure. I knew it was a bad idea, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. The event was extravagant. Balloons, banners, fake smiles. I stood in the back, unnoticed for a while, until Marcus saw me. His smile dropped. Kayla followed his gaze. When she saw me, she looked like she might faint. I nodded once, then turned to leave. But before I reached the door, I heard shouting. They were arguing, loudly, publicly. She was crying. Marcus was storming out. Their perfect fantasy was cracking, right in front of everyone. I didn't smile, but inside, I felt something close to peace. A week after the baby shower disaster, Kayla showed up at my place. She was holding the baby, a tiny girl with dark eyes. "She's yours," she said. I stared at her, stunned. What? I lied. I panicked. I didn't know how to tell you, but it's not Marcus's, it's yours. I was speechless. I didn't believe her, not at first, but part of me wanted to. I asked for a test. She agreed, said she'd do anything to make it right. But deep down, I knew this wasn't about love. It was about survival. Marcus had left. She was alone, and now she was crawling back, using the only thing she had left, doubt. 2 weeks later, the test results arrived. I held the sealed envelope in my hands like it weighed 100 pounds. My heart was racing, but my mind was calm. I had prepared myself for either outcome. Kayla showed up the moment I told her it had arrived. She sat across from me on the couch, bouncing the baby softly in her arms. I opened the envelope slowly, and then I read the line. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. The baby wasn't mine. Kayla looked like she'd been hit by a truck. "No, that can't be right," she stammered. She stood up. "Maybe they mixed it up. We should do it again." But I was already walking toward the door. "You lied again," I said quietly. "And this time, you used a child." Kayla texted me for days after that, begging, apologizing. She admitted Marcus had left her weeks ago, and that she hadn't heard from him since. She didn't know who the real father was anymore. She just wanted to go back to when things were good. But there was no going back. People started finding out the truth. Her story fell apart. Friends cut her off. Her parents, disappointed, refused to help. She was left with a newborn, no job, no man, and a shattered reputation. I didn't smile at her pain, but I didn't rescue her either, because I had done that once, and look where it got me. A friend of mine from college ran into Marcus a few months later. Apparently, he'd lost his job after his employer found out about conflict of interest and personal misconduct. His face wasn't so smug anymore. Word had gotten around. The man who used to walk in like he owned every room now avoided eye contact. Kayla had tried reaching out to him too, but he blocked her, denied the baby was his, said it was all her mess now. Snakes don't change. They just shed their skin, and karma doesn't always come fast, but it never forgets. I used to think closure would come from exposing them, from public shame, from seeing them fall. But peace didn't come from watching them break. It came from walking away. I stopped replaying the past. I stopped asking, why me? I started focusing on, what now? And with that mindset, I rebuilt myself. I traveled. I picked up painting again. I met people who didn't know me as the guy who got cheated on. I became Derek again, whole, not broken, not bitter, just free. And Kayla, she was just a name now, a painful chapter, but not the whole book. Looking back, the first betrayal shattered me. The second nearly destroyed my faith in love. But now I know, pain doesn't break you. Lying to yourself does. I saw the red flags. I felt the shift in her energy. I ignored my gut because I loved her. But real love doesn't ask you to betray yourself to keep it. If someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Kayla didn't just cheat. She manipulated, lied, and used a child to claw her way back. But I'm not her victim anymore. I'm the man who walked through fire and came out whole.
He forgave her once. She betrayed him again with his friend. Then she used a child to pull him back. But the truth shattered her lies. This isn't a story of heartbreak. It's the story of a man who chose himself in the end. And that was Derek's story. A story of betrayal, second chances, and finally choosing self-respect over broken promises. Sometimes, the hardest goodbye is the one that saves you. What do you think? Was Derek right to walk away for good? Or should he have tried one last time for the sake of love? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another emotional journey. Until next time, remember, forgiveness is a gift, but self-respect is priceless.